Hey, welcome back to another video hosted by Spellstorm Miniatures. My name is Dan. Today we're going to look at some bases. I'm basically going to take this base, add some quick paint to it to make it look a little bit more vibrant. I was going for an icy feel. This is for my Trollbloods. And this process is actually really easy, doesn't take very long, and I feel it just adds much more to it, and it's much easier to do when the model's off. These are some chaos bases, and I really liked them for the rocks and other features that are kind of coming off of them. Even though there's some chains in there, I'll show you real quick on another one that I basically covered them up with some snow. So that's an extra step you can kind of go on and do, but it really just makes it look like they're coming off a snow-covered mountain, if you ask me. And there's another little guy. This is my little pig lookout, kind of looking through a snowman, little disguise going on. Again, these ones are a little bit darker. I kind of changed up my process slightly, but overall, you still get the effect of ice, snow, and again, this only takes me a couple minutes, so let's check it out. So for this process, I use a few different colors. I just use a basic kind of light gray craft paint, Fenrisian Gray by Citadel, P3's Frostbite, a simple craft white, and then later on for the basing I use black and a P3 Signar Blue highlight. That's just to get my bases colored up after the fact for the game, such as this guy right here. So it cleans up the base and then puts on that front arc. Then of course a little bit of water, your bases, a few flat brushes. I have a pretty cheap plastic one here, number 6 flat, that just I can beat up and not worry about. Then an Army Painter large dry brush, Army Painter small, and then a P3 flat brushes, small flat brush as well. Don't necessarily have to use all these, kind of make it easier to transition from one to another. I may not even use it, but if I was doing more than just like 2 bases, obviously a palette to put your paint in, and paper towel, something to dry your brush off with. Like I said, since we're dry brushing, I'm not an expert, but this is a great way to practice. So first off, we're going to go with our light gray, just to change up the color a bit. This one I'm going to go a little heavier handed on, but you soak up your paint. I'm just going to kind of rub it off there, and then use it across, just to really get a nice thick layer all over where I want. Mainly I'm just looking for that other gray to kind of be the shadow, so I'm pretty close to painting them at this stage of just, if you're doing a standard non-dry brush, but a little bit lighter than that, just because I don't want full cover, entirely full coverage, but I do want to change it up a bit. That one actually might have been a little bit too heavy, but again, I'm not too worried about this step. This is just adding a little bit of variety into it. It's one you might even be able to skip if you really didn't want to do it. Give our brush a quick clean. Take out the Fenrisian. Just nice and in there. Dry a bit of it off. Now you might want to let it dry a little bit in between, since that one was a little bit thick, but I'm also not worried about smearing colors, so I'm just kind of going to go right for it anyway, and just get all those crevices and tops, just to bring it up a bit. I think this Fenrisian is really good on bringing out a lot of lighter gray to it. Maybe I should have left one plain. I'll put some pictures to kind of show a progression, as it almost doesn't look like it's doing much, but it has changed a bit. You really start noticing when we do like the frostbite. So those are all kind of grays. This starts going more to our white. Maybe I use this one partly just because of the name, but it's that good mix of a white to gray. Pretty close to Fenrisian, but a little bit different. Again, depending on how you want to do this one, I'm going to do mine a little bit heavier on the spikes coming out, just because those are kind of my exposed icy parts. And a little bit lighter on the rest. And I'll be hitting some of that with the snow later on anyway. So this one again is a little bit just flavor to taste. I'm just kind of showing some examples of it really starts bringing out the texture of all these ones that stick out a little bit and those little edges right in there, so that it's just not nearly as plain. I'm gonna call that pretty good. So these might look a little bit better when they dry and they kind of goes down the line. And if you had multiples of these, you just grab that, just kind of start hitting down the line, and just cycle through 10 to 20 of these really fast. We'll do some white, just some pure white to really pop a few of those edges. Get a lot of that snow feel going on. Also, I've been using the same brush over and over just because kind of forgetting to change mine and just showing on camera how to do this. Whereas especially this topper fine line, some of these other dry brushes do a much better job than this one. So maybe you should probably use those instead of being like me and just hammering through for speed and using the same brush over and over again as I set them out there, and then I proceed to not show you how to use them. But just like that, you can already really see on the camera how some of these points are really popping up a lot more than others. And that's basically it. So there was a few minutes, and I probably could have done more, just in a short matter of time if I lined them all up and got them going. The underside's still a little dark, but you're never really going to look at the model that way. You're always looking at them kind of from this top angle. So that's my simple process of getting these bases pretty close to where I want them. And then I'll just use a little bit of PVA and some snow, pop them down in the crevices, kind of cover up the chains and the symbol, a little bit of the hard metal looking parts a little bit. Just cover those right up with snow, plop a model on there, and they're ready to go. Of course, after I black out the edges. So thanks for checking out this quick video about sprucing up your bases. If you're enjoying the content, please like and subscribe. Comment down below if you enjoy this sort of video or tips and tricks that you have. Don't forget to check out spellstormminiatures.com for more information and links to our Discord.